Get your glasses. You got it. 100%.
Thank you.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Nayanam namaskritya naram shaiva narotamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances and to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, and to Narayan, which is the supremest human being, and to Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and to the author of Srimad Bhagavatam. And today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, entitled The Cosmic Manifestation. And we are on the 5th chapter, The Cause of All Causes, and on text 23. Mahata tu Vikurvanat Raja Sattva Upabrimhita Dhamma Padana tu Abhavat Dravya Dhyana Kriya Atmaka Mahatastu Vikurvanat Rajasattva Upabrimhitat Dhammapadanastu Swabhavat Avagyana Kriyatmakaham Mahatastu Vikurvanat Rajasattva Upabrimhitat Dhammapadanastu Swabhavat Vajagyana Kriyatmakaham Mahatastu Vikurvanat Rajasattva Upabrimhitat Dhammapadanastu Swabhavat Avagyana Kriyatmakaham
Mahatastu Vikurvanat Rajasattva Upabrimhitat Dhammapadanastu Swabhavat Vajagyana
Kriyatmakam. Anyone else want to chant?
Mahatastu Vikurvanat
Rajasattva Upabrimhitat
Dhammapadanastu Swabhavat
Pratyadhyana kriyatmakaha Mahatastu vikurvana
Mahatastu vikurvana
Rajasattva pavrimitat
Rajasattva pavrimitat
Samapradhana svabhavat
Dhanapradhana svabhavat
Dravyadhyana kriyatmakaha
Pratyadhyana kriyatmakaha Mahata
Mahata
of the Mahatattva
of the Mahatattva.
two but
But
Vikurvanat
Vikurvanat,
being transformed
being transformed.
Raja
Raja,
the material mode of
the
passion
material mode of passion.
Sattva the mode of goodness
Lord of goodness,
Vipavrimitat
Supreme,
because of being increased
because of being increased.
Tama
Tama,
the mode of darkness
mode of darkness.
Pradhana
Pradhana,
being prominent
being prominent.
two
But
but Abhavat
Abhavat
took place
took place.
Dravya
Dravya,
matter
matter,
Jnana
jnana,
material knowledge
material knowledge.
Kriya Atmaka
Kriya
predominantly material activities.
predominantly material activities.
Translation. Material activities are caused by the Mahatattvas being agitated. At first, there is transformation of the mode of goodness and passion, and later, due to the mode of ignorance, matter, its knowledge, and different activity of material knowledge comes into play. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Material creations of every description are more or less due to the development of the mode of passion, Raja. The Mahat Tattva is the principle of material creation, and when it is agitated by the will of the Supreme, at first the mode of passion and goodness are prominent, and afterwards the mode of passion being generated in due course by material activities of different varieties become prominent, and the living entities are thus involved more and more in ignorance. Brahma is a representation of the mode of passion, and Vishnu is a representation of the mode of goodness, while the mode of ignorance is represented by Lord Shiva, the father of material activities. Material nature is called the mother, and the initiator for materialistic life is the father, Lord Shiva. All material creation by the living entities is therefore initiated by the mode of passion. With the advancement of the duration of life in a particular millennium, the different modes act by gradual developments. In the age of Kali, when the mode of passion is most prominent, material activities of different varieties in the name of advancement of human civilization take place, and the living entities become more and more involved in forgetting their real identity, the spiritual nature. By slight cultivation of the mode of goodness, a glimpse of spiritual nature is perceived. But due to the prominence of the mode of passion, the mode of goodness becomes adulterated. Therefore, one cannot transcend the limit of the material modes, and therefore realization of the Lord, who is always transcendental to the mode of material nature, becomes very difficult for the living entities, even though prominently situated in a mode of goodness through cultivation of various methods. In other words, gross matters are adibhutam. Their maintenance is adidaivam, and the initiator of material activities is called adhyatma. In the material world, these three principles act as prominent features, namely as raw material, its regular supplies, and it's used in different variety of material creation for sense judgment by the bewildered entities. Om Aganachino Dasya Gyanachara Shakaya Shakshu Militantjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Vacharini Nirvishya Shunyavadi Bhaskacha Jatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Gaura. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mahatastu Vikuvanat Rajasadvo Pabrimita Tamapadantu Bhava Tamapadanas Bhavat Vayagyana Yatmakaha. Material activities are caused by the Mahatattva's being agitated. At first, there is transformation of the mode of goodness and passion, and later, due to the mode of ignorance, matter, its knowledge, and different activities of material knowledge come into. Mokanko Timpachalam Pangum Lagayati Guyim Bhagya Kripa Grita Tamaham Bande Sabu Dejatani. So that verse said that really without the mercy of the spiritual master we cannot do anything, and with the mercy of the spiritual master one can cross mountains, a lame person can walk, and a dumb person can speak. So I need to mercy of the spiritual master right now because that's so dense philosophy. And we can ask ourselves, like we need to know about the Lord. We need to know about Krishna. We need to know about transcendence. And why not spending time, instead of speaking dance philosophy, why not spending time speaking about Gulab Jamil that Krishna ate in Vrindavan now? You know, how we enjoy with his gopi girlfriends and what he's dressed like, what he does all day. So why not speaking about that, since our mind is supposed, according to this purpose, to be absorbed in transcendence and absorbed in the Lord. And why not simply doing that? I'm not saying we shouldn't do that. That's wonderful to do that. But why not simply do that? Like just staying absorbed in transcendence, absorbed in a Krishna Katha, Hari Katha, completely absorbed in the pastime of the Lord. And I'm wondering why. Okay, like here we have like Sonaka Rishi asking questions about the creation. We have Sukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit asking questions about the creation. We have Narada Muni asking Lord Brahma. So they are all pure devotees. They have no tinge of material anything. They are pure devotees. And they are spending time speaking about those topics. And for me, it's very relevant that if they are speaking about those topics and find them relevant, that means they must be relevant for me. Because why would they do that? And my sense is that the main reason is that we can't hear about transcendence, and it's the goal of human life is to be absorbed in transcendence, to be absorbed in hearing about the Lord. And at the same time, that goal will not be achieved if we approach the material energy from a place of being a victim of it. Yeah. And by hearing about the material energy and how the material energy is put in place by the Lord, of course, Lord Brahma being the engineer of it, then we get to step out of being a victim to come to a place of radical responsibility. And in that radical responsibility, then we have an opportunity to step out of being victim. It's like we are all victimized. The material energy, by definition, is going to victimize us. That's what we are. And then as long as we approach energy and experiencing ourselves as helpless, victim, unfairness, misunderstanding of what's happening, as long as that's our approach to what's happening in this world, then we are not going to be able to stay absorbed in transcendence, because like those thoughts of being a victim is are going to continue to lead us to act as, you know, Andy said, the living entity, individual, bewildered entities. So bewildered entities, we are bewildered by that, by that illusion or misunderstanding that we are victim of the material energy. And in that bewilderment, we act, we want to rectify, we want to work against the material energy, thinking that there is something wrong. There's something wrong. If I'm a victim and if it's unfair, there is something wrong. So I need to stand up and I need to use my material mind, my material brain to transform what's around me for what's around me to fit my wanted to lord over. So sometimes we say whatever we are trying to control is controlling us. So as long as we try to control the material energy is controlling us, and then we get really entangled in it. You know, Prabhupada said, and it gets more and more entangled in complexity. And that's so exactly what we are doing. As long as we are trying to fix, as long as we are trying it's not fair, or feeling victimized, or feeling like a victim. We are victimized, but feeling like a victim and not being willing to be responsible for everything. Then as long as we are there, we are going to be entangled in the material complexities. And it's kind of mind-boggling. Like in a 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, there is an analogy of the banyan tree. And then there is a picture of the banyan tree. And it feels so like, every time I look at that picture, I think, that's why I feel like I have I'm kinesthetic by nature. So I learn through my body's response to things. And so my body is just shrinking, thinking, there is no way we can solve that problem. It's so, there is leaves everywhere, and there is roots coming up and roots coming down, and there is twigs and more branches that spread into more branches, and it's so entangling. So the material energy is like that, and it's going to stay that way as long as we allow the mode of passion to be predominant. And the mode of passion is characterized by increased attachment and action. Attachment that reality should be different than what it is, and action to fix reality, and then that lead to ignorance, because the more I want to fix what is the reality, the more I am in ignorance, because we start with that. It's like okay, today it's cold outside and I want to fix that. Well, that is going to lead me to lamentation in itself. So I can anchor and be in a mode of passion or lament. So I'm lamenting like, I want the weather to be 70 degrees outside. So that in itself, trying to control the weather, is going to lead me to lamentation. And lamentation will lead to avoiding pain and like all that, and then following into tamasic behavior. So that's my understanding of this verse and purport. And what I would like to do is, I like to read Brahma's from the start of his explanation for us to have an overview of what is happening. I think it was
how is lamentation avoiding pain?
No, but lamenting comes from lamentation is born of like I'm lamenting because what is reality should be different than what it is. Yeah, and then by doing that, then I'm avoiding just experiencing my experience of what's happening by accepting it. When I accept reality as it is, then I have more choices of what I want to do with it, and then experiencing the pain that may be there without lamentation. Lamentation is born of things should be different than what they are. Yes, that's what I mean. So anchoring, lamenting, anchoring for what I don't have, and that's all. That's the more of passion. Like I want to create something else than what I don't have, and then lamenting for what I've lost, or like that. So that's like going constantly, and that's our material conditioning. Well, as long as we are in material consciousness, we are going to anchor for what we don't have and lament for what we have lost, and then anchoring, lamenting, and then as we anchor and lament, then we are going to act in a certain way. The anchoring is going to make us act to control the material energy, and then we are going to feel controlled by the material energy, and then the lamentation is going to lead us to want to cover the pain, and it will lead us to behavior in the mode of ignorance, sleeping, drugs, food, addiction of any type, like that. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Rather than experiencing our experience and let that move us to engage in self-realization.
Yes.
To transcend the context.
Yeah, to offer everything to Krishna. So yeah, we are victimized by the material energy because we have created our victimization, and from that place of responsibility, then it's not like we avoid the pain, or we experience our experience, and by experiencing our experience, we have an opportunity to be the experiencer and then tap into something that's bigger than this body and mind and intelligence in the material platform. So what I wanted to do is go back a little bit to hear from Lord Brahma. I offer my obeisances and meditate upon Lord Krishna Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead, whose invisible potency influences them, the less intelligent class of men, to call me the supreme controller. So Lord Brahma, like it's text 12. So Lord Brahma is offering his respectful obeisances because, of course, he has a role to play with the agitation of the Mahatattva. And this morning, as I was chanting outside, I was thinking about that. I was thinking, as I read about the material creation, the three modes of material nature, and that all engineering, it seems that there is such a supreme intelligence behind it, like a supreme computer, like a computer that can put all the data of all the desire of all the living entity, and then pop out like different forms, a different habitat or different apartment for all those living entities. It's perfect exactly according to their desire and activities. And I was thinking, okay, well, so behind the whole system, there is a supreme intelligence, Krishna. But where is Brahma taking place? That is just watch. And I was thinking, no, probably Brahma is not simply watching things happening. That Lord Krishna gives ingredients, and then that Brahma is kind of bringing his own creativity, his own intelligence, his own abilities within the creation of the universe. So that's so the less intelligent man to call me the supreme controller. The illusory energy of the Lord cannot take precedence, being ashamed of their position. But those who are bewildered by always talk nonsense, being absorbed in thought of it is I, or it is mine. So that's the illusory energy. That's what is confusing us and helping us to go in bewilderment, and it's born of ignorance of who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I imagine to have that, the personification of the illusory energy. She probably feels ashamed to see that, because she knows like all the living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme. The 5 elementary ingredients of creation, the interaction and thereof set up by eternal time, and the intuition or nature of the individual living beings are all differentiated part and parcel of the personality of Godhead, Vasudev, and in truth there is no other value in them. So by understanding material nature, and our material nature, all aspects of it, including our intelligence and intuition, all action is part and parcel of Krishna, and that there is nothing separated from Krishna, then we can put things in place in their proper perspective and their proper value and purpose. The Vedic literatures are made by and are meant for the Supreme Lord. The demigods are also meant for serving the Lord as part of his body. The different planets are also meant for the sake of the Lord, and different sacrifices are performed just to please him. All different types of meditation of mysticism are means for realizing Narayan. All austerities are aimed at achieving Narayan. Culture of transcendental knowledge is for getting a glimpse of Narayan. And ultimately, salvation is entering the kingdom of Narayan. Inspired by him only, I discovered what is already created by him, Narayan, under his vision as the all-pervading super soul, and I am also created by him only. So Lord Brahma is like, I'm really thinking, okay, where is Lord Brahma's, like in Krishna's emanation, but it's not like he sit and look and watch, like it's not like we sit and watch either. And here he said, okay, I'm created by him, and I was inspired by him only. I discovered what is already created by him. So he had some kind of raw ingredient to do something with, and understanding the mind of the Lord. The Supreme Lord is pure spiritual form, transcendental to all material qualities, yet, for the sake of the creation of the material world and its maintenance and annihilation, he accepts through his external energy the material modes of nature called goodness, passion, and ignorance. So goodness, passion, and ignorance are a form of the Lord. The Lord accepts himself to take form in those modes in order to support us in our desire to be conditioned, and also by understanding those modes, by understanding the ropes by which we are bound and entangled, then we get to free ourselves. That's why Lord Brahma, Lord Narada Muni inquired from Lord Brahma, and all those very advanced spiritualists are taking so much time speaking about the creation, because without knowing where we are at, there is no way we will arrive at our destination. Even if we hear a lot about our destination, let's say, like I want to go to New Zealand, yeah? So I will hear about New Zealand, and I'm going to absorb myself in New Zealand. And I will like, wow, yes, there is a place where there is big mountains, and it's so wild, and there is some old tradition in New Zealand, and there is the North Island and the South Island, and because it's also hemisphere, in the North Island it's warmer than in the South Island. I can learn so much about New Zealand, but I will never go to New Zealand if I don't know that I'm in Alachua, and then the process to go between Alachua and New Zealand. So the sages, they know that for us to really come to a place of receiving transcendence, receiving the pastime of the Lord, absorbing ourselves there, we also and importantly need to know where we are at. And so that's why we have so much the whole second canto is cosmic manifestation. The three modes of material nature was the Krishna, supreme taking the form of the three modes of nature, being further manifested as matter, knowledge, and activities, puts the eternally transcendental living entity under condition of cause and effect, and making responsible for such activities. So that's primarily my understanding of why is it important for us to understand the cosmic manifestation and how it works, is because we are made responsible for activities. So there is a system, there is cause and effect, like you can have a child, or you can have people, and you give them, okay, the ground rules, here's the ground rules, and here's are the reward, here are the consequences, now go, do as you wish, but there is ground rules. So when you do a certain thing, you're choosing, you have a choice you have choice to act in a certain way, and some ways you are going to act, there is rewards, and some way you're going to act, it's going to be consequences. Go, continue to go. And if you go to the reward, or if you get the consequences, you're responsible, 100% responsible. And so that's the condition, the context, like we present in some of our courses, the material context. The material context is there, and in that context there is cause and effect, and there is a context of birth, disease, old age, and death, and associated context that's connected with that, like eating, sleeping, mating, defending, or associated context with the birth, death, old age, disease, all the mistake, all those things. And then mistake, illusion, imperfection, tendency to cheat, all those things, they are there. And then it shows such a bright intelligence. And I know an attractive feature, like when like some people, we're all attracted by different features about people. Like we all, like some people are very attractive. Like if you see someone very beautiful, naturally they will be attracted to someone with like beautiful feature, yeah. And some people are attracted by wealth. Like so much of this Western society is based on your wealth.
Your self-worth is equal to your net worth.
Yeah, your self-worth equal to your net worth. It's so like it travels so deep. That consciousness in the West travels so deep that people don't even see they are run by it. They just, I need more money, I need more money. Don't you have food? Yeah, I have food. I need more money, I need more money. Don't you have like a shelter over your head? Yes, I have. Did you ever miss something? No, I don't. But I need money, I need money. And then beneath that is like a conditioning, a material conditioning of the Raja society that I need more money somehow, I need more money. Even if I'm running, that's the rabbit in Alice in Wonderland. I need to go. Like that. I'm late. Yeah. I'm late. So yes, what I was saying, I lost my track of it.
Six opulences.
Six opulences, so like so much in the West, people are attracted. Thank you. By wealth, and then some people are attracted by renunciation. I know I'm quite attracted by renunciation in others like that. That's a quality that attracts me to people. And then some people are attracted by intelligence. And I know for me, it's been true throughout my life. Intelligence is something that's really just like, it's like a magnet. I feel like magnetized by intelligence. And so like because I know that's my way of being attracted to people, I also want to discover Krishna's intelligence, because I know it will help me developing attraction for him, because ultimately I want to be attracted by Krishna. And then through his material creation, we can really see like the pride. It's inconceivable intelligence to be able to, if we take all the data of the millions and trillions and quadrillion of the conditioned soul, and how magnificent, how inconceivably complex is the system of the material energy, and how perfect, there's no mistake in the universe, no mistake in any material universe, no mistake in any creations of the Lord. So I think that's also an aspect of the Lord, that by understanding where we are at and how, how responsible we are, and how the system he created is perfectly made for us to go back to him, then we can also appreciate not simply where we are at, but where the Lord is at, and how bright intelligence. So then Lord Brahma continues. O Brahman Narada, the super seer, the transcendental Lord, is beyond the perception of the material senses of the living entities because of the above-mentioned three modes of nature. But he is the controller of everyone, including me. The Lord, who is the controller of all energies, does create by his own potency eternal time, the fate of all living entities, and their particular nature for which they were created, and he again merged them independently. He merged them independently means like we are always independent. We never lose our independence, our identity. And time is what is part of the recitation of the Mahatattva. After the incarnation of the first Purusha, Karanagaleshaya Vishnu, the Mahatattva, or the principle of material creation, take place. And then time is manifesting in course of time. The three qualities appear. So we have the first Purusha, Mahavishnu, and then the Mahatattva, and then we have times that kind of stir everything. Nature means the three qualitative appearances. They transform into activities. Material activity are caused by the Mahatattva's being agitated. At first, there is transformation of the mode of goodness and passion, and later, due to the mode of ignorance, matter, its knowledge, and different activities of material knowledge come into play. So here Prabhupada said in different millennium, I understand that, it's interesting how Prabhupada used millennium in different ways. Because here it seems like it's a different age he's speaking about in this purpose. That's how I understand it. That the more like the living entities is first conditioned by goodness with a drop of passion that really make him not qualified anymore to be in the spiritual world, the living entity. And then from that drop of passion, like he creates activities, and those activities increase more and more the percentage of passion, let's say, if we were a percentage of passion. And as the percentage of passion increase, activity increase, anchoring increase, attachment increase, then that leads little by ignorance, the presence of ignorance. And then that's there's an interesting part of the purport where Lord Shiva is presented as a father, And it's interesting because, you know, we see the Father as Krishna, Vishnu, the Father, and however, some people in India, they see the Lord Shiva as supreme. And here we can understand why, because Lord Shiva is the father of the material energy. He's not the father of the spiritual energy. He's not the father of us as a spirit soul, but he's the father of the material energy. And so as long as we are in material consciousness, we are going to see Lord Shiva as supreme, material energy as supreme. So I found that interesting in the purport. And after that,
it's a material nature is the mother, and the initiator for materialistic life is Lord Shiva.
yes, yes.
So it's not that Shiva is the father of material nature, right?
It says the initiator for materialistic life is the father, Lord Shiva.
So Shiva is like the husband of material nature. Right?
Yeah, like that. So it's the father, material nature. Yeah, and in the Brahma Samhita is described, and that's why, like a lot of people, they worship a phallus. Lord Shiva is like Shiva Shira, Linga, Shiva Linga. It is a phallus, because in the Brahma Samhita it's explained that the creation takes place through Lord Shiva. You know, like not so much here, but Shiva is involved. What's his name when he's involved? Sadashiva?
Sadashiva.
Sadashiva is involved in the creation. You know, it's of course it's coming from Krishna, but Shiva has a place in that. And here he's described as the father of the material creation. The material nature is not the father of material nature, is the father of the materialistic way of life. So that's what you're saying, Patrick. Yeah. So I like the distinction. And I'm going to stop here because there's so much to that purport. And I feel like in one way I covered it all, and in one way I didn't cover anything.
That's very clever. How to do that. It's a mystic power.
So I'm going to read the verse and purport again. Mahatastu vikuvanat rajasadvo pavimita tamapadanast swabhavad vayagyana kriyatmakaha. Material activities are caused by the Mahatatvas being agitated. At first, there is transformation of the mode of goodness and passion, and later, due to the mode of ignorance, matter, its knowledge, when different activities of material knowledge come into play. Any comments? I say comments only.
The purpose is so difficult that I don't even know what to ask. So it's good. So from my part, you are safe.
Yes.
So only comments.
Just because one big block, like a paragraph, one big block.
It's one big block, yeah, it's dense. It's dense. Sankhya? It's Sankhya philosophy. And at the same time, you know, there is the density of the detail of Lord Shiva and the modes and time and Adibhutam, Adidaivam, Atmakam. And at the same time, you know, we can dive into that, and the more we make advancement, the more we are going to be able to receive Lord Brahma and to understand, you know, Lord Brahma's perspective, because Lord Brahma understands all that. Srila Prabhupada understands all that. And you know, we in reading those purports, we want to understand the core of why is it there? Why is it we're taking so much time? What's the purpose of that? And the purpose is what we read earlier, is really understand our responsibility. And as long as we are not willing to be responsible for everything, our progress is going to be difficult, because we are going to go back to victim consciousness that is going to entangle us in the mode of ignorance.
I really like what you did with this verse, where the verse itself and each sentence of the purport can be unpacked unlimitedly, and yeah, it's dense as you say. And well, there's a fairly well-known conversation between Srila Prabhupada and the members of the Beatles, and then it's a long conversation, and at one part, Yoko Ono kind of poses the question you did, and so she said, "Well, if chanting Hare Krishna is that the best thing we can do, why don't we just chant Hare Krishna all the time?" Which is kind of reasonable. Why don't we just talk about Krishna and the gopis and the coward boys, Shiva and the modes and this and that. Yeah, and Prabhupada, Prabhupada emphasized that sure, if one is if you chant Hare Krishna all the time, or
you're capable of doing that.
Yeah, that is complete. That is complete and sufficient. Nothing more is required. Or if you're really absorbed in Krishna and his Vrindavan pastime, that is complete. Nothing more is required. And then there's a few layers of responses, but related to kind of, I think, a theme of your class there was that even if I think about many, I'm not going to say all, but many I know who sort of their program is to just think of Krishna and the gopis all the time. I mean, there's some that kind of go in that direction, and that is complete. But then
if that's all they do,
right? And what I find, I'm not painting with too broad a brush. I'm sharing my impressions of many who I've seen where that's sort of their approach, as opposed to the kind of rigorous sadhana bhakti approach that Prabhupada gave. And then what I find is, okay, then, well, that's not all they do. And then when they're not doing that, it's pour me on the victim. And it's basically like, I wish they would just take the foundational course. Like just basic conscious living is missing. So it's kind of like either in this kind of just, you haven't gotten just the basics of personal growth.
It's ignorance or transcendence.
It's something like that.
It's either deep ignorance or like transcendence.
Yeah.
But then either, those places are, it's pendulum, like a pendulum.
Like a pendulum, yeah. And so I've seen examples of that. And again, not at all to minimize, because Prabhupada said, if you're absorbed in Krishna and the gopis and chanting Hare Krishna all the time, that's complete and sufficient. And then Prabhupada gave other layers of answer. He said, well, first of all, of course, that even if someone is there all the time, it might be, and in most cases in this world, it's their service to read books. And and to explain the philosophy, he gave the example of Lord Chaitanya. That was his service to speak to Prakshananda Saraswati and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, all this intricate philosophy, and in order to bring them to the point to accept and realize, let's do Harinam Sankirtan. And in order to get to them, then it required being extraordinarily learned to meet them where they're at, and then of course to meet ourselves where we're at. The Ishopanishad verse. We want to understand the process of knowledge and ignorance, which means to understand how I'm entangled in the material context, and how come I'm not spontaneously absorbed in the Vrindavan pastimes, and it gets into so let me understand the philosophy and apply it to what's happening in my consciousness.
Yeah. It seems to me that the goal is to be absorbed all the time in Vrindavan pastimes. The goal is to chant 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And also, part of spiritual advancement is to realize where I'm at.
Yeah.
And then the sages or the devotees, they are really supporting us to meet ourselves where we are at.
Yeah.
And then without meeting ourselves where we are at, it's going to be difficult to go for that goal.
Yeah, right. Otherwise, I'll take a plane north to get to New Zealand.
Yeah, And so that's why, like in the Sri Upanishad, the process of knowledge and nations to be side by side.
Yeah.
It's not one for the other, one is more important than the other. It's like a double track that stay together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because in a sense, I can aspire to chant all day, but I know it will drive me crazy. So as long as I'm not capable to do that, then I'm going to be active, interacting with the material energy. And there I need that knowledge. There I need to understand, okay, how I'm entangled, what reaction, how I am. And moment to moment, realize that I'm just a puppet here. I'm just a puppet. We don't have, like I was saying, starting the class with that verse that says, with the spiritual master. The spiritual master is a via media to Krishna, because the spiritual master have no tinge of any material modes. And if the spiritual master has tinge of material modes, then he's not a via media to Krishna. But the spiritual master via media to Krishna, he has no tinge of material mode, and he meets us where we are at. So the spiritual master knows the medicine for our disease, and he gives us a medicine according to our disease. And then by following the prescription of the doctor, then little by little we become more and more like back to our health and more capable to absorb ourselves in the pastime of Krishna, or absorb ourselves in chanting 24 hours a day, all day, without needing to go like from high state of consciousness to complete ignorance, like coming more like progressing in the stages of spiritual life to really like see ourselves our advancements through the stages of spiritual life rather than by the state of spiritual life.
So accepting reality rather than lamenting. But if my reality is lamenting,
then I acknowledge that. It's a good platform to become humble.
but then it's not accepting reality rather than lamenting. It's both.
Well, if I accept the reality, like, okay, my reality is lamenting in a sense. As soon as I accept that reality, I'm not lamenting anymore. Yes?
No.
I'm not lamenting, but yeah. So like, oh, I can see I'm lamenting right now, and I must not be very advanced because that's really the mode of ignorance. Because I'm learning. I see my lamentation. I see what's happening in me to the eyes of Shastra, Chakshusha, like the Shastra, the eyes of the Shastra. So then I see, oh wow, I'm lamenting. So that's ignorance, and so that means that's where I am at. And then by realizing that's where I'm at, I can go to Krishna and say, well, Krishna, I just want to lament. I like my lamenting. And that's where I am at. And then there's so much humility right there.
I really do. I feel it. Like I could could make like any time to choose to like engage myself in service, let's say. But I feel like that there is the time for lamenting, and it really, and it feels like a rope. Like I really feel like the rope. That's like kind of
pulling you back. Yeah, attachment. You're attached to the lamentation.
Yeah, but like it doesn't make me not lament.
It doesn't make you.
Well, yeah, I mean, acceptance doesn't mean resignation. Doesn't mean wallow.
No.
And that's like we're spiritual beings having human experience, and my human experience includes the software of the mind and the intellect and the emotions, and that's all engaged in lamenting and just experiencing that. Okay, so then I'm the observer. And then it's like experience to experience in the context of moving towards higher purpose.
So how do you do that?
Yeah.
Well, it seems that the way you do that is by engaging in service.
But then when is the time for lamenting?
And then you're aware that you have a rope in your heart that says, I want to lament. I love lamenting. Like a pig, like to wallow in the mud. I love lamenting. When is it that I'm going to lament? And then you're aware of that, and just that awareness is goodness. by awareness, we go back to sattva no matter where we are at.
I was thinking about how, you know, you're describing going from like transcendence to like full ignorance. And Dhiruvendra was mentioning, like, I think the like most extreme example of that, like going to like really high, like Krishna and the gopis, and then into not behaving consciously and doing abominable things or something like that. And I'm just saying how like I don't do any like I don't listen to any like super high Harikatha or something. Like the Harikatha I'm around most of the time is just Bhagavatam, and it's like standard stuff, and I still go to those extremes. And the way I observe most people is going through like this ebb and flow and their pendulum swinging, and like I know that through Salvatore, and I know plenty of people that like read the Bhagavatam every day and follow a very structured program, and still, in my experience, don't manifest like signs of being like very aware, compassionate, or so yeah. I have kind of like I see how it's like maybe the higher the transcendence, the lower the ignorance or something, or like the deeper the ignorance. And at the same time, it seems like it's like where everybody is in a way. It's like
Yeah, I like your point because it's so connected with what I was sharing. That okay, you know, like you know some people, and I know some people, and I myself can look at my sadhana, and you know, like yes, the sadhana is there, and I can also act in a way that's unconscious, and you know, people like that. I know people like that. I know myself. That's and what I was saying is that's why in the Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's so much description of those ropes. We are entangled in ropes, and knowledge of those ropes is not like automatically, oh, because I know those ropes, I'm free from those ropes. However, knowledge of those ropes help us in that process of freedom. And it seems that because the sages of Nayamisharanya, who did thousands of sacrifices for us, and Lord Brahma, Narada Muni asking question, Arjuna asking question, they know that about us. They know exactly what you're saying. It's like transcendence is going to be super difficult. And then because transcendence is difficult for us, then we have a lot of the teachings. It's about like, meet yourself where you're at. You're entangled, you're lamenting, you're anchoring, you're going to burn like fire if you go there. You know, it's just constantly there is a reminder like, look. And then as we read, we can see what's happening for us, and also we can strengthen our faith, like, wow, yeah, I can see that's exactly what's happening in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. That was what I was sharing. You know, like if we hear the pastime of Krishna, it's completely absolute and purifying. And the reason why is there is other things given to us is because we need them to recognize where we are at, what's happening. And the more we hear about the three modes of material nature, the more we hear about the cosmic manifestation, why there is this world. A lot of people, like, I look in my family, or like the question of why is this world on purpose? Why is this world perfect? It's not something that people ask themselves most of the time. And when we do understand that, when we do understand the perfection of the material cosmic manifestation, then through that, little by little, for some people it will take longer, some people will take less, but by hearing that knowledge, we get to meet ourselves where we are at. And when we understand where we are at, we have more chance to understand how to step out of where we are at. As long as we are in ignorance that of the material cosmic manifestation and its purpose, then there is no way we will even understand how to get out of it. First, we need to understand, I'm in a prison, and here is how the prison functions. And then after, we can get out of the prison. Or maybe we'll act foolishly. Like I I did a seminar in prison. So there were prisoners. They understand the rules and regulation of the prison. They understand that, you know, if you act this way, you're going to be in solitary confinement. If you act this way, you know, like whatever, there's consequences. And so those who really understand how the prison works, and that maybe you can get a few years less of that prison if you act, you know, in a way that's according to the rules, then they have more chance to get out faster than those who are just ignoring the purpose of the prison. Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. No, I wasn't sharing that by reading that everybody's a pure devotee. I was saying there is a reason it's there. And to meet ourselves where we are at, and then we want to understand nations and knowledge at the same time. And knowledge is really, of course, you start with matter and spirit, and ultimate knowledge is knowledge about absorbing ourselves in serving Krishna by knowing him. Because the goal is to serve Krishna.
Yes, I'm appreciating that Prabhupada gave us a complete and perfect, balanced process for advancing. And I'm not saying that as someone who is very well following Prabhupada's complete and perfect process. I'm not saying that as someone that I follow that, but I aspire to follow that. But because we could say, like, yeah, I'm going into like these pastimes. I'm just reading Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is Krishna book. So if we look at Krishna book, if we look at Nectar of Devotion, if we look at Chaitanya Charitamrita, if we look at this, the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is giving us the most esoteric rasa. So it's like, I mean, it's an important point. So he's giving us New Zealand in that analogy. Okay. He's giving us the most exalted, esoteric, rare rasa, even in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, and then so many other places that we mentioned. So I was like, well, Prabhupada doesn't give us the. Have you ever read Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita? There's okay. So he's giving us that transcendental goal. Like that, and sometimes he's giving us a very grounded process to meet ourselves where we're at. Here I am in Alachua, Florida, which is about 150 miles from our land. Okay, and he's giving us the transcendental goal. He's giving us a process to meet ourselves where we're at and proceed towards the goal. And the process includes connecting with those descriptions of the rasa. If we just systematically read, it's 10 after 9. If we just systematically read Prabhupada's books, then we're exposed to all of the most intimate rasa, and simultaneously we're exposed to verses like the one today. I'm just appreciating the complete grounded, perfect process that Prabhupada gave us to move towards the infinite personal transcendence. And of course, the process is the goal.
I get that through our conversation. Your appreciation for Srila Prabhupada is kindled. Like increased to appreciate how the perfection, like Krishna, like we were speaking about how Krishna created a system with cause and effect, and it's so mind-boggling that we can appreciate his intelligence. And similarly with Srila Prabhupada, and somehow he was giving his intelligence, through being a pure servant of Krishna, to really meet us where we are at in Kali Yoga, like those people, to give us like a medicine that's sweet, like have enough sweetness, and then that the bitterness also can be taken in it, and then all parts of it, and then really a deep, like I like with doctor, I know when I go to doctors, I want to understand. I so much want to understand what's happening in my body. Like just a diagnostic or telling me that and that, it's never satisfying for me. I need to understand, why, how come my habits, life habit created that disease. I need to understand all the organ connected with that disease. I need to deeply understand, and that understanding really helped me in my healing. Maybe it's not true for everyone, but I know I have gone through so many things that I healed in my life that now I know how I function in terms of healing my body. And so it's very, very similar, like Srila Prabhupada gave us all aspects. He gave us the medicine, and they also so carefully make us understand, like, how come we are sick and what organ is sick, like that. Yeah. So you're appreciating the perfection and the intelligence like Srila Prabhupada received due to his pure service to Krishna to really successfully guide us, even without his presence, to successfully guide us towards making progress in spiritual life. Yeah, thank you.
I remember, like I started to chant, I asked you the same question, like why not just chant? And you responded to me, and until now I remember that like it's important that our intelligence is convinced, and that's like I think like till now it's like principle that I've used a million times.
Yeah.
Because like there is so many times that I don't have faith, or like I don't feel like Krishna dancing with whatever. But like because of this like philosophy, my intelligence is enough convinced to practice even when I don't have this
desire.
Yeah, which is most of the times. But anyway, so.
Well, we could chant all the time, but really, I think it's really important that we meet ourselves where we are at, that most of us were not capable.
Yeah, I mean, we could.
If I was capable of chanting all the time, then I will do that. But the truth, I can try to convince myself that, it would be so nice if I could chant all day. But that's just illusion. It's just ignorance of the fact that I'm not capable of chanting.
And even this, if I could chant all the time, I would do that. Well, I don't know, because the idea isn't like I could, so I'll do it. The idea is to please our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. So it's like the Kirtanya Siddhahari, and Kirtan takes different forms. So it's just like, well, sometimes he wants us to discuss Bhagavatam philosophy. He doesn't want us to be chanting japa. And that Bhagavatam philosophy is completely non-different from chanting japa. We're chanting Hare Krishna Kirtan. So the idea is to be engaged in service 24 hours per day. And our service in line of Prabhupada isn't 172 rounds per day or something like that. There was one instance where Prabhupada gave Babaji initiation. It's actually in the conversations, you can read it, it's there. But the late Dravanaksha Prabhu, he knew the devotee, and the basic story is the idea of the devotee, he was going to die in 6 months, and he asked Prabhupada for give me a special initiation where my only service is just chant all the time. So Prabhupada agreed, and about 6 months later, he was driving a red sports car in Chicago. And my sense was Prabhupada wasn't shocked and surprised, oh, how could that happen? That I think it was more like, okay, there you go. So, yeah.
My question about just chant wasn't just chant 24 hours. My question was why don't we just chant 1 hour a day? Why we need to understand the philosophy.
I see.
I was coming from
just to chanting. Because the chanting will lead us to questioning. That's my understanding. That if someone starts with chanting, at one point or another, they will want to know more, and their heart is going to transform so much that they will open to questioning.
Yeah, it all seems very cyclical. It's like you, when I read Uprashamrita, I can read the beginning now and Bacha Vegam and Asakura Vegam and all that. And now I like have more of an understanding of that and it appeals to me more. But I get to the end and then I drop off because it's like way too high and ridiculous to me. It's like, what? You know, but then sometimes like the more I do hear about those things within Prabhupada's books, whatever, like then there is more of a curiosity that pushes me back to chanting and like reading the intro again and like it's like,
all aspects of the medicine and diet and all that is important. And the more you take it, the more you see, when you become more healthy, then you have more ability to take the medicine and like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's maybe something not attractive to you, but then the next time you come around, they are becoming more attractive. The first verse of the nectar of the instruction is Padishamrita is most attractive to you.
I appreciate that sharing because a few years ago we did a nectar instruction Shastra study group a few years ago before Chaitanya Charitamrita, and I know myself and I would say others, the Bhakti Vedamas has control the words, control language, control mind, control tongue, belly, genitals. Okay, the next verse, Achahara Prayas to avoid eating too much, to avoid collecting too much, don't gossip, association. Next verse, Utsahan Nishad, patience, enthusiasm, and don't follow rules blindly, and don't whimsically neglect with very practical diet. And then verses around the science of association, and okay, I got. And then the latter verses, I mean, they were also nectar. I'm so glad we did the course. At the same time, I was thinking at the end, like let's call it those last 5 verses. I was thinking it probably would have been preferable that we just do all of them in one module. Because, for me, it got, well, I use the word term ridiculous, like that. So, no. For me,
you were sharing your experience.
Yeah, no, that was real for you. That was real for you, and so and it was just it's reading Prabhupada, and so it's purifying its nectar. But okay, I got for me, there wasn't as much about to say. There wasn't too much to say about those verses. I just put them all in one, and I think maybe that was and so that was just my experience. Like those first 6 verses, it's very grounded, meeting ourselves where we're at. Then the other verses, Prabhupada and Rupa Goswami, they're giving those verses with just an ocean of realization, but I'm far from that realization, and so I know I could appreciate that point. And I think that book's a perfect example of that. It's just like meeting ourselves where we're at, and then also giving the most sublime, esoteric, transcendental goal.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that Sri Goswami would do that.
Yeah.
Like he was with Lord Chaitanya, and he spent so much time receiving from Lord Chaitanya, and that he will write this little book. That's really interesting. Anything else?
I just wanted to give appreciation too for the distinction between victimization and being a victim.
Mm.
So we had our class on Wednesday night with Kathleen's group, and so that was a question that we had, was the difference between victim and victimization. And so I think we got confused. So we were making victimization more like the grungy, like you're saying, but I like that you're saying we're all victimized, and we don't want to be in victim consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I'm going to be writing to the group because I want to go back and listen to that part of your lecture today to really get the fine definition between the distinctions, so that it's going to be helpful. We had our dyads last week, and the person I was with, we had the experience of shared the story where you were a victim, and then shared the story again where you took 100% responsibility. Mm-hmm. And she was still in the victim consciousness, and it was really difficult for me to give her some really good concrete examples of how that was my experience of her sharing the second story the second time, is that she toned it down, but she was still in victim consciousness. And so there is, so I think having some distinctions will be really helpful to our team, our group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, those distinctions are in the book.
They are, and it's but as far as when you have a dyad and it's not readily available, and you don't want to, you're like, I want to be really more clear. Yeah, I want to be available.
Because we are all victimized by the material energy, and then if we look at our life, we all have been victimized in some way or another. And some of us move forward being responsible for the event of our life and understanding, the bigger picture. And some of us choose to develop the victim mentality of like giving my power away.
Yes.
And being a victim meaning like there's a sense of unfairness and all those things, and then in that creating more and more victimization. Yeah, as long as we are victim, we are going to be victimized.
Yes,
we do.
Yes, exactly. As long as we are victim, we are going to be victimized. And then the moment we step out of victim mentality, victim consciousness, then there's no more victimization in a sense. Because everything is on purpose and perfect in the world's creation. So you wanted to have support for like the dyad, because in the dyad, and there was confusion in the group, and then you want to help the group understand that victimization is there, and what we do with the victimization is our choice.
Yes.
What we do with the victimization, this place is a place of misery, and what do we do with that context is we have choices. The content that we have the context, and the content is our choice. The context is not our choice, but the content is our choice.
Even the context, so we're all victimized, and we attracted our victimization because of the context of the prison house. At the same time, I chose to commit a crime. So in this context, a few weeks ago, I shared a 1944 article by Srila Prabhupada about theosophy. Madame Blavatsky, he was doing like a Vaishnava view of theosophy. And Prabhupada said, the theosophist says, we will not rest until there is no more oppression of the weak by the strong. So Prabhupada said, well, okay, but that's kind of sentimental. Prabhupada said, the Vaishnava stance is, we will make everyone so strong that will never be oppressed. Because as long as we misidentify with the body, and as long as we identify with the modes and we're entangled in the modes, then we're going to be victimized by the material energy, and it might take the form of this person, that person, whatever. And to the extent that we realize who we are, spirit, soul, servant of Krishna, then we're untouchable, then we're unstoppable. Then we have our blissful life guaranteed, and nothing can oppress us.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne, for comments. I'm glad you're going to support your group.
Yes.
Like in that group, to really understand that, like the sages take so much time to support us to be responsible. But not from a place of like you're not going to be victimized, from a place you're going to be victimized, and you're responsible for being victimized.
Yes. Yeah. That's still part of this material world. So that's what's going to happen. And
you're creating it.
And we're creating it. Yeah.
We are creating it.
It's very, very Sappho-free stuff here.
Yes, very Sappho-free stuff.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Gachandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol. I just wanted to let you know today I will be available. If you are in town in Alachua, then if you want to stop by, I will stop by tomorrow. So otherwise, I'm clear. I will go to your house. But if you want to come to my house, then today I'm available between 1 and 2:45, and I'm available between 4:30 and 6.
Probably tomorrow, like, is best.
Okay, so I come tomorrow. I hope.
If I go out today, I'll touch base.
Okay. And I will have my cell phone on if I don't find you. I think I remember where to turn, but maybe you can send me your address just for the street number that I will turn in the right street, because it's a while since I came to you.
I'll do that.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I will.
Yeah, I think that would be fun.